Professor, my name is Lindsay Reese. I have chosen my end-term assignment on Native Americans. I chose a student that needs multiple intelligences addressed, such as visual aids, kinesthetic, and fine motor activities, because I've found many children in my classroom now that I am subbing in Island Trees that are in need of extra help with fine motor skills and kinesthetics. I chose the subject of social studies, grade 4. And my instructional goal would be for the students will be able to learn who the Native Americans are and where they came from. And although I know there's many lessons to plan for this unit, I know you'd only ask for 3 lessons. So I just threw in about 5 lessons, just going over how I would start off this unit. My instructional objectives I will get to. Some of the baseline data that I chose was just through observations, classwork, pre-test that I gave him on their prior knowledge about Native Americans. Also their ability to research, and I have analyzed their portfolio collections to help me plan for this unit. I will keep records and provide ongoing formative evaluations of student learning throughout the lessons taught. I was also to see what students were prepared, their preparedness, whether it was more or less or on target, by reviewing this baseline data. I thought about what can I do to support their levels of learning, and decided to group them accordingly when it came to cooperative groups for their activities. Day 1, I would go over the legend of the Blue Bonnet, which I know is a great tale and helps children learn about the Native Americans. There is lots I'm trying to just show you. This is a picture dictionary, which the children will be using later on for their final assessment. Day 1 would also include reading the story and completing a KWL chart to help me see what they know, what they need to know, and of course what they've learned after reading the story. They're also asked to draw pictures in sequence to pertain to what happened in the beginning, middle, end of the story. This also helps prepare them for future tests that they'll need to take, state exams, because I know they sometimes are asked that to sequence events. They definitely enjoyed this activity. They learned a lot about Native Americans. Day 2, I'd have the class create totem poles. I thought this would be really great for my target student who needs those extra help in fine motor and kinesthetics. And also I used a lot of visual aids and auditory tools throughout this unit. I would begin by reading a book about totem pole making tribes, and the students will learn about totem pole making tribes, of the Northwest. They will be constructing their own class totem pole, which I thought is great if I would connect some higher level students with lower level students to help build on that teamwork and just set the children up in cooperative groups. To apply what they have learned, they will locate the totem pole making tribes on a map, and they will be divided into groups to make their class totem pole, which we could display, I thought, at the end of the unit. It would be a good celebration tool. And the assessment that I've chosen for that is a formative assessment of a quick write, and just to show what they have learned after today's lesson. I think quick writes are a really great assessment tool, just as a quick learning tool, just to see what the students have learned and what I still need to touch on. Day 3, I did a corn activity. The students will learn to prepare popcorn by measuring oil in popcorn. And I thought that this unit was really great because I definitely incorporated a lot of math and science other than social studies into it. The students will name the parts of a corn plant. This will help me, and they could build upon their prior knowledge of plants, which I know they've learned in 2nd grade. I know that's a big unit there. And we will record their results. We'll also grow corn plants, I thought, and they would they would record their data on a sheet, day 1, day 2. This could also be a great assessment tool just to see if the children are completing this and they're able to record their results of their corn plant on a daily basis. For day 4, sorry, I just have to scroll down. I'm using this as a guideline. Sometimes I forget in front of a camera. With that corn activity, I would read Corn is Maize, The Gift of the Indians, and also the Popcorn book as a great read aloud to get the children engaged in today's lesson. And use a lot of visual aids of different types of corn, because I know children love to learn through visual aids, and to see it actually in front of them is a great learning experience. And the assessment tool I went over. Through informal assessment, I would also be able to see who learned from this lesson and who still needs that extra help. Talk and turn is also a great method that I would use to assess them throughout this lesson. Maybe at the end of the lesson, gather them on the carpet and turn and talk to a partner in which ways we use corn to make different foods. And then share these thoughts out. And that's a great informal assessment tool. I could see if the students got it, if they were paying attention, or we still need to touch on that. Day 4, I went kind of over the 3-day rule. I did the Plains Indians, and they will listen to a story, The Legend of the Paintbrush, which is one of my favorite books. They'll watch a video and recall facts about the Plains Indians and teepees. And after reading it, the children will learn about the Plains Indians. I also have the video in English and Spanish versions to help with the ELL learners in the classroom. And this, they would create a story pyramid that I typed up. So it incorporates the main character of the book, the story, events in the book, the setting, problem, different things that they learn, obviously, to make a great response to a book. And obviously this would be differentiated because it is a rather large pyramid. So maybe for some children, I'd modify it to make it a little more easier for them to complete and more on their level. And as a home project, I figured they could make a flip book after modeled by myself, maybe as a little home assessment piece that they could bring back. They create a little flip book consisting of food, clothing, artifacts, shelter, and location of Plains Indians. They can include a picture and a short description for each topic. And obviously this would be modified also for different levels of the learners in my classroom. I have to include that differentiated instruction in all lessons, because I know it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. And day 5, I thought it would be great, especially for my target student, to create a dream catcher. They would design their own dream catcher and learn its purpose. My target student will greatly benefit from this lesson and help with fine motor skills. And I would show them just really great examples of dream catchers and what they are used for. I would allow them to research this in the computer lab to find out why they're so important to the Native Americans, and they would create as an assessment piece a headline news summary, which I think is so great to help express children's creativity. And I figured we could make a newspaper at the end, extra, read all about it and kind of thing, with dream catchers, and we could make some really creative pieces to that. And as far as feedback, I always provide immediate feedback to my students in order to help them support their growth. Jot down comments to them. I like to conference with my students one-on-one to help them to become better at what we are learning in the classroom, and to determine what their strengths and weaknesses are and how we could plan effectively from there. As a final project, I had my children create a Native American book. I bought these little white books for them to publish through A to Z. And using this picture dictionary, either children would be asked to just draw pictures with the word, or they could be asked to draw a brief description under each picture, kind of like a dictionary, about Native Americans. For example, T for teepee, moccasins for the letter M, wigwam for letter W, and just write a brief description how this has to do with Native Americans. This also helps implement all the new vocabulary that we've learned throughout the unit and these lessons, and just helps them become better educated about this topic. They absolutely came out gorgeous. Some of my children are actually still finishing up. We're going to have a big celebration at the end. The parents are going to come in and bring Native American foods, and it's kind of going to be a publishing party. where the children will get to go around and share their books with one another and their parents. And of course, this would be modified also for certain students that, like A to Z might be a lot of letters for a child who's a lower level learner to complete. So that might be varied depending on their level. But this was a great class. I learned so much about assessment tools. All my children really did great from all these assessments. Based on analyzing these assessments, it helped me to plan for future lessons. And all in all, the children really are learning so much about Native Americans. Of course, we still have a lot to complete, but I just figured I'd give you a few lessons that we started to go over. So thank you very much, and take care.